Good morning. Welcome to July the 25th in the year 2023. It's Tuesday, it's 10 a.m., it's time to do business. I'm Ini John Mekwa, and this is Business Morning coming to you from Channels Television. Now we'll start with what will concern a whole lot of us with what's going on in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. We can tell you that Chicago wheat futures rose to a 5-month high today, gaining 2% as Russia's attacks on Ukrainian ports and grain infrastructure sparked concerns about long-term global supplies and food security. Corn edged higher while soybeans eased. The slowdown in Ukrainian exports has been priced into market, and buyers are now waiting to see what happens to Russian wheat exports. And of course, still on that, the most active contract of wheat on the Chicago Board of Trade added 2% to $7.72 for half a bushel, after earlier touching $7.77 for a quarter of a bushel, and this is its strongest since February 21. Corn rose 0.1% to $5.69 a bushel, while soybeans lost 0.1% to $14.23 for half a bushel. Russia destroyed Ukrainian grain warehouses on the Danube River in a drone attack on Monday, targeting a vital export route for Kyiv in an expanding air campaign that Moscow began last week after quitting the Black Sea grain deal. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has appealed for Russia to return to the Black Sea grain deal, warning of a devastating impact on vulnerable countries struggling to feed their people because of the global grains markets. Let's go to oil prices now, which edged higher also for the third straight session on Tuesday, as signs of tighter supplies and pledges by Chinese authorities to shore up the world's second biggest economy lifted sentiment. Brent futures gained 22 cents to $82.96 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose 23 cents to $78.97 a barrel. Both benchmarks rose over 2% the previous day when it hit the highest closes since April. Crude benchmarks have already climbed for 4 weeks in a row, with supplies expected to tighten due to cuts from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, which includes Russia, that's OPEC+. Some analysts say that it could rise further in the short term. In China, which is the world's second largest economy and second biggest oil consumer, leaders have pledged to step up policy support for the economy amid a tortuous post-COVID-19 recovery, focusing on boosting domestic demand. Still, bearish data in the Eurozone and U.S. underlying weakness across the global economy. In the Eurozone, business activity shrank much more than expected in July, as demand in the bloc's dominant services industry declined, while factory output fell at the fastest pace since COVID-19 first took a hold, according to a survey that was shared. To edible oil now, Malaysian palm oil futures fell on Tuesday as traders locked in profits after prices rallied to a 4.5-month high in the prior season on Russia's attacks on Ukrainian grain warehouses. The benchmark palm oil contract for October delivery on the Bursa Malaysia Derivatives Exchange dipped 22 ringgit to 4,142 ringgit. That's about $906 by midday break. The contract had gained 3.2% in the previous session, hitting its highest level since March the 10th. Russia destroyed Ukrainian grain warehouses on the Danube River in a drone attack, targeting a vital export route for Kyiv in an expanding air campaign that Moscow began last week after quitting the Black Sea grain deal. The propensity for profit-taking after the impressive gains from yesterday could see palm trade lower today, according to what analysts and traders are saying. A slower rise in July production was confirmed by Malaysia Palm Oil Association data, which was released yesterday. Meanwhile, Dalian's most active soy oil contracts rose 1.62%, while its palm oil contract climbed, I beg your pardon, 2.36%. Soy oil prices on the Chicago Board of Trade were down 0.53%. And let's come back here to Nigeria. The issue of subsidy removal and palliative is still very much in the front burner of conversations. The latest is from the Trade Union Congress. Well, they met yesterday following meetings by a union made up of the stakeholders from the government side and trade unions and Trade Union Congress are promising that they will take this fight to the lawmakers.
If you could remember, we had a NEC meeting in TUC, and our NEC mandated us to continuously engage government, even while we insist that status quo should remain. And we told that part, we continuously had that engagement. As of today, we have formed technical committees on cash transfer, we formed technical committees on intervention funds, we formed technical committees on wage awards, we formed technical committees on the reduction of a cost of governance. We formed technical committee on energy and power. So there was a timeline, and that timeline was 8 weeks from 19th of June. Today, we have spent more than 1 month. We felt that the traction, we are not going at the speed that we anticipated. So we want government to fast track and ensure that between now and the next 2 weeks, all the committees must have submitted their report. All the committees must have put in their report so that the steering committee, the presidential steering committee, can conclude its work almost immediately. Because we cannot continuously speak grammar. The executive, the legislatures, the judiciary, they must lead from the front, while we follow them from behind as the followers. But a situation whereby they are pushing a lot of poverty to the masses and they are living in affluence, we will not allow that to work. If National Assembly, if they cannot give a clear-cut justification on what they think they are doing, we will lead the entire Nigerian masses to besiege the National Assembly. Because for us, we think that an injury to one should clearly be an injury to all.
And so it sounds like a threat of a strike. We thought we had gone past that. Apparently, we have not. And the TUC is asking the government to stick to the timeline. I think they have just about 4 weeks. It's supposed to be, I think, towards the middle of August, or towards the end of August. That's when the 8 weeks expires. So they're asking, let's see the signs. We will not wait until the deadline before we will start talking. And we do hope that President Bola Tinubu is listening. The lawmakers are also listening, because of a truth, Nigerians are feeling the pinch. And one thing is, Nigerians would like to see that the government, or those at the top, are also making the sacrifices that the people are making and feeling every day. It would be nice to see that. Well, talking about government, we saw that the Federal Inland Revenue Service announced that they surpassed their targets for the first half of the year. Their collection was at 5.5 trillion naira for January to June 2023, according to the executive chairman of the service, Mr. Muhammad Nami. And they have a target that is even bigger than that for the second half, 7.5 trillion naira. Of course, we wish them all the very best, but we know it to come from your pocket and my pocket. So we have Mr. Nami here to tell us how harsh they plan to be. Thank you so much, Executive Chairman of the FIRS, Mr. Muhammad Nami. Thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I must say congratulations, first of all, for surpassing your target for the first half. What did you do differently?
Well, we have done a lot of things since we came on board in 2019. And if I will remind you, we set up 4 goals, or 4 cardinal goals, when I was appointed. One of those goals is making FIRS a customer-focused institution. The second of such goal is making FIRS also a data-centric institution and improving our stakeholder collaboration. Then the fourth goal is what has happened to the institution of FIRS itself. So let's rebuild the institutional framework of the service. These goals we are choosing by us at the point of our appointment to give a direction towards transforming the service as a whole, touching on all areas of operational processes, organizational structure, internal and external relationship, particularly with people like the media organizations, and capacity building and maintaining a comprehensive database. In appraising our performance under these cardinal goals and in relation to our current achievements in tax revenue collection, each of them has provided quite remarkable guidance in their respective ways as follows. In trying to make FIRS a customer-friendly, customer-centric, or customer-focused organization, it is often said that business balance, that the customer is always king. So we have always treated our taxpayers, including you, as king. So we have tremendously improved our engagement with taxpayers. We work constantly to ensure that taxpayers are satisfied. We issue circulars and guidance complementing tax provisions when changes to tax laws are made. We ensure that taxpayers are constantly enlightened on their tax right and obligation. We also have balanced the equation. We have always told government to also give taxpayers value for their money. So on making FIRS a data-centric organization, we have identified the fact that taxpayers are key to tax administration. So with a robust taxpayer base, you have all the necessary information about entities and individuals that are liable to various taxes that we collect. Then, for us to do that, we ensure that we have a comprehensive taxpayer database, which enables us to plan our tax administration and operational office of the processes. And with the taxpayer tax base, we are able to forecast the amount of tax collectible. This is what we have done for the second half of the year, where we said we expect to collect at least additional 7.5. It is based on this databases that we are able to do that. We also created a department called Intelligence, Strategic Data Mining, and Analysis Department with the sole aim of gathering data, providing information on taxpayers. It is in realization of these advantages that we embark on the use of technology tools to build taxpayer base, which is a major factor that is aiding our effort in tax collection. It may interest you to know that there is a correlation between our performance and deployment of technology. Leveraging the available taxpayer database, the tax formats, which we built ourselves, we conceived it, built it, and deployed it, is our own, has continued to enhance our performance tremendously. It has also created a tax-friendly environment where taxpayers can carry out all their tax obligations and processes with ease. The third goal is we improve our stakeholder in collaboration to deliver quality service as part of our, in line with our vision, to taxpayers in partnership with our stakeholders and make taxation a pivot of national development. We have been engaging with relevant government agencies in the course of our work. We have engaged and interacted with professional bodies. We also have engaged and interacted with foreign agencies, bodies, and joined their cooperation with us, and most especially the media. And what we did as the fourth cardinal goal was to rebuild the institutional framework of the FIRS. One of the major factors that contributed to our continuous improvement in collection performance is the organization structure that we carried out. We redesigned the organization structure. We create an administrative system that is not decentralized. We are able to put in place a system that guarantees collaboration and internal control mechanism among the groups, department, and function.
All right, Mr. Nami. All right, Mr. Nami. Yeah. I mean, you obviously have done a lot, and we have seen the results. But you know, Nigerians will be happier. I know it's your job to just collect, but Nigerians will be happier if you can have a platform where the taxpayers can actually hold the tax, or the government, you represent the government as a tax collector, where they can actually hold them to account and say, you promised us road in our area, we have paid our taxes, where is the road? But I mean, at this time when the economy is harsh, macroeconomic indices are not friendly at all to individuals, to businesses. A lot of business owners have been talking about tax holiday. While that is not directly in your purview as FIRS, is there anything that can be done? Because it will serve to buffer the harsh economic realities at this time, and it will also help your job, because then you can increase the tax net, attract more people into the tax net. The issue of tax holiday.
Thank you very much. I like the way you smartly put it. Tax holiday is handled by a different ministry, not even Federal Inland Revenue Service. It is handled by Federal Ministry of Trade, Industry, through an agency of government. But be that as it may, in 2022 alone, if you look closely, the result that we published in January, you discover that for the taxes that we collected, in 2022 alone, the federal government sacrificed through tax holidays incentives over 1.8 trillion naira. I'm not saying that that is not the best thing to do, because the good intention is for the federal government to support the industries that are currently not doing well, to now save money, invest that kind of money, reinvest the money in their own businesses, and able to now return taxpayer and they are now able to invest it in other critical sectors so that they become big taxpayers in the future. But the issue we have with it today is a good policy of government, but with Pillar 2 coming about with global minimum tax rule of 15% across globe, for every tax incentive or tax waiver we give to every taxpayer in our country going forward, with effect from January 2024. If we fail to collect 10 naira from a taxpayer that is based or that has come from outside Nigeria to invest in Nigeria, when he gets back to his country, the country of his own, or the country of his origin will take the tax from him. So what we are now saying, tax incentives are fine. Tax incentives have a purpose, but it is not what the global community wants to do from January 2024.
All right, maybe we should do it before January 2024. At least by then, businesses are supposed to have, you know, gotten a little bit of soft landing, and you know, because I mean, we know what's going on in Nigeria. But thank you so much. We're out of time. Mr. Muhammad Nami, Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's take a break now. When we come back, it's MPC Decision Day. Counting down hours. It's going to be at 4 p.m. And you know, here on Channels Television, we're going to have the studio live to bring that to you. But before then, let's see what manufacturers are saying from the rail sector. What are they expecting? What would they want the MPC? Which way would they want the pendulum to swing to? We'll talk about that after this break. Do stay with us. This is Business Morning. you're welcome back at MPC Decision Day. And so let's, before we go to the commodities market, let's get a feel of what stakeholders in the real sector are expecting. We had the President Bola Tinubu, saying that he would prefer to work with a single-digit interest rate. But let's see how possible that is from the perspective of the Chief Executive Officer of Coleman Wires and Cables, Mr. George Onufowokon. He was with us in the studio. Mr. Onufowokon, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Nene.
I'm sure you were happy when you heard the President say he wants a single-digit interest rate. Here now, the MPC started meeting yesterday to meet today, and they have inflation staring them, right there in their faces. I'm wondering how we will get to that single-digit interest rate.
It's going to be a tough call, but it's not impossible because it's been done before. It will be an intervention whereby you'll be having either government intervention, CBN, through the CBN in a way. Now, it most likely has to come in as a palliative, as part of what they're trying to do. Irrespective, you're already having a problem, and I don't know how MPC is going to cope today, because you're looking at inflation at 2.74 as of last month, and you're looking at it going up month in, month out, 22.44 in May, 22.2 in the month. Yeah. So you're getting a consistent, but it's marginal. Now, the question is, because we're having a marginal increase in inflation, we're still having a push. Now, the tendency of everybody, which is typical economics, will actually be looking at how do we drive down inflation. We actually increase the base rates. Now, we've had a 500 basis point last time for May. Now, to go up, in my own opinion, that's my own personal opinion, is tough. Now, because we're having marginal increase in the inflation, it's better we stem that if what we have done so far has actually reduce the pace at which inflation is actually increasing, can we consider a stability in holding rates as of now? That is our own expectation as a manufacturer in the real sector, because you're already having the problems associated today with the increase of the MPC. So far, base rate moved up, interest rate moves up, commercial rate moves up, and the cost goes up. So invariably, it's ending up passing to the end user. And if the government wants stability, they're going to be a catch-22. You want savings. The whole point of increasing interest rate is to try and create more savings, is to try and create more investment, institutional investment, foreign direct monetary investment, money market.
But it makes it more expensive for businesses like you, to get funds.
It does. So you're in a catch-22. But it's also, for me, there's lack of understanding, because what we're doing is we're throwing an hammer at the wrong thing. Now, what I mean by that is that we're using macro policies, which are the monetary policies, to try and fix both macro and micro policies. The micro policies are the physical policies, where the government needs to play hand and balance whatever monetary policy you're trying to do. At the moment, we have a mismatch. Now, you have monetary policies, treasury.
But we had CBN intervention during the time of Mr. Emefiele. We had a huge of that. I thought that was supposed to balance.
That helped greatly. If you look at the number of years that actually happened, though, look at the numbers that actually got it, look at the benefit, the agro policies, the intervention in agro, it swung in the wrong direction. In some cases, it swung in the right direction. In some cases, we pushed up rice, but we left cocoa that we could do export on. We pushed up other products, tomato, but we left cashew that we could export. So,
but even with the rice, I mean, a lot of Nigerians still eat imported rice, yeah, even with the intervention in rice.
Because the drive for the actual intervention did not impact as it's supposed to. Because for my own opinion, a lot of people that actually got the funds felt that it was national cake. And if you look at it today, they should go and bring out the statistics of how many people actually paid back those agro rice deals. But when we look at it today, and when we look at the impact to the real sector, do we need more increases? I don't see it, because if you look at Treasury bill rates today, as of July the 12th, it's 5.94. So if the savings rate or the government treasury bill investment rate is sitting at 1 year rate is sitting at 5.94, I don't see what the benefit of an increase would be. It's only going to be bottom line on the real sector that you're going to slow down even more the real sector growth. You're going to slow down the growth of each business because the cost of borrowing goes up, working capital capacity or capability actually reduces because they're actually looking at it in a different light. Now, if I start reducing cost, increasing cost of fund, invariably you pass it back on. Capacity reduces, you pass it back on because there's going to be a demand push issue because I don't have enough stock to give you. I'm going to increase the cost of whatever I have left. And that you're still going to force the same problem. So they have to be simultaneous with whatever decision. As the CBN is meeting today, there must be government policies that are going to cushion whatever is going to happen. Take, for instance, and I'm looking at the figures, yes, customs moved rates of calculation to 770 for duty rates. It was 460. You move it to 770. Anybody importing raw materials, that's a physical policy side. It's automatically taking the figures up. So whether we like it or not, inflation most likely will still rise a little. But we need to rebalance. We cannot throw the hammer on the wrong thing.
Well, you know, sometimes we ask the question, you talk about balance, we talk about coordination, because on the one hand, it seems the government wants to encourage growth and more economic activities. On the other hand, it seems the government is discouraging growth. I mean, government, customs and all of that, they're government agencies. So, I mean, they ought to work as one with one objective. So sometimes you just wonder, I think somebody said perhaps we need a coordinating minister for the economy who will bring these things together, and before any policy goes from any government agency to the people, it is scrutinized on the table of balance, you know, before it goes out to the people.
I think the sad part was that under the previous government, we had a government that literally had the CBN trying to manage both macro and micro. He had a very weak finance minister, sorry to say, she was very weak. So it gave the opportunity to the macro guy to actually feel he's in control. It shouldn't be. It should be actually a joint. If you look at the previous government under Okonjo-Iweala, Soludo, the group, it was balanced because the two actually understood what they both needed to do. You need a strong Minister of Finance, you need a strong CBN governor. Combined, they do the work together. They cannot do it separately. You can't have one feeling that the rest, the second guy or the second person, does not matter. So we need a balance. So I think going forward, that would be what they'll be looking for, is to have both very strong, but both coordinating. The word you use is the right word. We need to coordinate. You cannot do it singularly. We've been doing it singularly for 9 years. We need to change the philosophy to coordinating both macro and micro policies that work in the favor of the actual country, not individual or case may be one sector over the other. It needs to be collective, that everybody grows simultaneously. We have an opportunity today in this country that we've taken off a lot of headache from all this subsidies and the rest, but now is the time for them to balance both macro and micro policies together.
All right, we do hope, even though the MPC is at its meeting, we hope they're listening and this will, one way or the other, sip into their decision that we expect to be announced later on. Thank you so much for coming all the way here. Mr. Onofo Okon, the Chief Executive Officer of Coleman Wires and Cables.
Thank you.
Well, we're still discussing the MPC. Now we're going to the commodities space now, and then we have joining us from the UK, Dr. Adesola Sumoni, Senior Analyst, Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you so much, Dr. Adesumoni, for your time. So, of course, you know the decision. Mr. Onofo Okon here believes that the MPC should hold. What do you think they should do for the good of the economy, which is at this fragile state?
Thank you for that question. And let me start by saying this is a very important meeting. It's the first meeting under this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's also the first meeting since Governor Emefiele was suspended. And at this meeting, there's a lot of focus on the committee. There's a lot of pressure on the committee to want to address issues such as the FX policy, for example, the unification of the FX policy, as well as there's a lot of investor stakeholders also watching to see, how the committee aims to, address the issue of FX shortages, as well as, the price stability mandate of the central bank. There's also an issue of independence and credibility, right? The last administration and the previous CBN governor was known to align with the policy of the president. So if the president says, it wants to do something for agriculture, the central bank governor was going to make it happen. But now there's now the issue of the independence and the credibility of the central bank. But going to your question, right? Because it's such an important thing, there are so many factors on the table. The reactions are mixed, right? If you ask, like the previous speaker said, they expect them to hold. We at Financial Derivatives, we expect a 50 basis points increase in benchmark interest rates for a lot of reasons. One, if you look at inflation currently at 22.8% is flirting with an 18-year high. We also have a system awash with liquidity. If you look at money supply, last month in June, it was up at 36%, I think, year on year, and about 15% month on month. And if you look at it in absolute values, it was up around 9 trillion naira to 65 trillion naira. If you look at the money in the banking system, that one was also up, I think, around 84% to 584 billion naira, the average for June. And the interbank interest rate, which is the OBB and the ON, was down to around 9%. So the system is awash with liquidity. So I think at this point, if for nothing, just to signal that the central bank still has price stability as its core mandate, I think, and the Financial Derivatives, we forecast with the 70% probability that the Monetary Policy Committee would increase benchmark interest rates by 50 basis points. With a 30% probability, we expect the Monetary Policy Committee to hold all monetary policy parameters unchanged.
You don't think that the president's pronouncement that he wants a single-digit interest rate will influence their decision?
In a benchmark interest rate is around 18.5% at the moment. It's not going to go to single digits today, this year, or even anytime next year, right? And this is again what I said about the independence. The current acting governor, Fola Shonubi, I think is in a very tight spot. On one hand, he wants to, display portray confidence to investors, foreign investors, domestic investors, but also independence, right? Like, to pursue the core mandate of the central bank. On the other hand, he may want to keep to make his job permanent and align with the president to kind of start easing benchmark interest rates now. But if you look at the economics of it, I don't think this is the time to start easing benchmark interest rates at all.
Right. So how does this ease into the commodity space?
I think the effect of this is not going to be direct. It's going to be indirect effect on the commodity space. If you look at now commodities, if you look at all commodities that we track, all of them, apart from beans, are trending upwards. If you look at perishables, for example, we are seeing the price of tomatoes, price of peppers up both 64% for tomatoes, and peppers up almost 200% to 90,000 and 65,000 naira month on month. If you look at non-perishables like beans and gari, they're also up quite significantly. And if you look at import elastic commodities, those ones are also up. So already prices are up, and we know the factors responsible for them. One is the removal of fuel subsidy, and another one is the unification of the exchange rate. And third, we have also the tomato Ebola, which is kind of affecting the harvest of tomatoes and as well as peppers, which is pushing the price upwards. I must add that at this point now, it is imperative for the central bank to look at the whole range of tools available at its disposal, because since May 2022, the central bank, the Monetary Policy Committee, has increased benchmark interest rates cumulatively by 700 basis points. And in the same period, headline inflation has declined by only 0.13%. That suggests something, right? It tells us that maybe the conventional monetary policy tools are blunt instruments to target inflation, and the key drivers of inflation are not monetary factors, but other structural and non-monetary factors. So there's the need for other tools to be deployed at this time.
Which was why Mr. Onofo talked about, them holding rates instead of just, increasing, as you have noted, how impactful has it been, and talking about the structural and even the impact of the intervention of the central bank, which we know has got a huge amount of money. When you put it side by side with what we would term the benefit of it, there's so many questions that are still left unanswered.
Indeed, Ine. I think what we needed, instead of ad hoc policy announcements, we needed reforms, right? Reforms takes into account the policy changes as well as the intended and unintended benefits and addresses them. For example, social protection. Removing the fuel subsidy obviously would mean that the pump price of petrol would go through the roof, and we've seen that. Also, unification of the FX market would also mean that import costs would increase, given also that Nigeria is a very import-dependent country. What we expected to see was some form of social protection, or what you call palliatives, to kind of ameliorate or cushion the effect of these changes. Overall, we believe, and even the markets positively welcome, the unification of the FX rate as well as the removal of fuel subsidy. But on the other hand, what we need to go together with that was some form of social protection policies like cash transfers, for example, discounted transportation, for example, just to kind of cushion the effect. And somebody, I don't know who said it on the show, said that, what we are having now is a cost of living crisis, and it's even pushing more people into poverty. Now, if you now take all of this, in addition to what is happening in Ukraine, right, where, we are seeing Russia further, we are seeing the tensions escalate, we are seeing Russia attack export infrastructure, particularly for grains. I think that has big implications for the global economy, and it even raises further the need for social protection to kind of cushion the effects of both these domestic and global shocks on the average Nigerian.
All right, thank you so much. The call for social protection as palliative again, which is what the TUC also talked about. Dr. Adesola Somoni, senior analyst with financial derivatives company, joining us from the United Kingdom. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's see how much palliative or shock the markets have had. We did see yesterday that the numbers came out to say that foreign investments in the equities market, obviously for the first half of the year, went up. We celebrated that a whole lot a couple of weeks ago. The numbers just came out to confirm that. But a lot of people, economists, have said we shouldn't celebrate that much because this is not foreign direct investment. This is hot money portfolio investment that could, take a flight at any time. If there's any threat, those investors could leave. Just sell off their stocks and leave. But anyways, let's see what the market looks like yesterday. We do see that it ended in the green at 0.41%. 65,000 is where we are at this time. We have still not crossed that line. I think there's a new resistance at 65,000 or so, but we are aiming for 66,000 to hit a new record high. Once we do that, I wanted to say option pay, but no. All right, so it's 0.41%, 65,268.28, and the equity is back to 35.15. Yesterday alone, 145 billion naira was added to the equities market in Nigeria. Congratulations, investors. That's more money in your portfolios. Let's see the other numbers now, and I know the drivers of this. I know that First Bank, after all of that thing that happened with majority share purchase, and then it went to court, and there was a winner in court and all of that, it's been thriving, it's been surging. Yesterday too, it was a major driver of the positive that we see in the market. Volume yesterday was at 831.5 million, value 12.9 deals, back to those high numbers, almost 10,000, 9,768. But let's get the views of Sadiq Safiriyu. He's an investment research analyst at Meristem Securities, joins us now to give us the background story of this. Good morning, Sadiq. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so can we say that the positive sentiment the market closed with yesterday has to do with the release of number of, the increase of foreign investors into the NGX?
Well, not directly. I wouldn't link that directly to the news. It's not, it's already public notice that foreign investors are gradually entering into the market. We already saw that with the May release, actually. The reports from NGX in May already suggest that gradual move or gradual shift from foreign investors, that heightened interest in the Nigerian equities market. Although it was, we wouldn't see that much as we saw in June, but yeah, it was already there. So the positive sentiment has actually majorly been investors' confidence or renewed investors' confidence in the implementation of reforms and policies of the new administration. Majorly, we have the fourth subsidy removal, and we have the efforts towards the unification of the FX, the foreign exchange rates. So yes, we have all of these renewing or trying as much as possible to increase investors' confidence in the Nigerian equities market, both domestic and foreign investors.
So I know that a lot of market traders and stockbrokers are looking forward to us crossing the 66,000, which is a line we have crossed before, to hit a new high. Do you see it happening anytime soon, since sentiment around the markets has remained positive over time?
Yes, I wouldn't rule that out, really. I think it's just a matter of time before we actually hit that again. We've seen that positive sentiment, and before 2 weeks ago, when the market closed negative, we saw a 7 weeks bullish run. And, it was only those market forces, that marginal close 2 weeks ago, where we saw profit-taking activities. Last week, again, we saw that positive sentiments come back into the market. The market's closing up about 3.9% last week. And we've seen that again, continuing this week. Yesterday closed up by 0.41%. The sentiment is very, very, very positive. We are already in earnings season. And as well, when, companies push out positive reports or results, and some of these companies again trying to declare interim dividend, the sentiment will sort of also increase positively. So yes, it's just a matter of time before we see the all-share index hit the 66,000 points again.
All right, we look forward to that, of course, for investors and all. Sadiq Safiriyu, investment research analyst at Meristem Securities Limited. Thank you so much for your views this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
All right, let's move to London now. Juliana is standing by, but I don't think we have very good news this morning. Juliana, good morning. The issue of modern slavery cases reported within the UK care industry has more than doubled, and this got me worried, because I know that I think the UK just have updated one of their laws, which was why we had our former Deputy Senate President, still in prison over there. So was this in the care industry? Are they being forced to work there?
You're absolutely right. Good morning, Inni. Yes, of course, the sentencing of the former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu earlier this year really brought the kind of plight of modern slavery in the United Kingdom to the public domain, because, believe it or not, the senator was the first person alongside his co-defendants to be charged under the Modern Slavery Act of 2015. I think the British government has still trying to get their head around a very lengthy, complicated legal standings here. But it's been brought up into the domain again because there is an anti-slavery charity called Unseen, and they've been giving an interview earlier today to BBC Radio 4, and they've been looking at some of the really shocking statistics and some of the issues that have been taking place in care homes. We know that during the pandemic, care homes across the United Kingdom, so these are basically homes that look after those who are disabled or very elderly, they had major issues with funding. Lots of people, in fact, tens of thousands of people died needlessly because of pretty disturbing care that they were given during COVID-19. So because of that, and because so much funding is needed towards that, the British government have really laxed some of the restrictions or regulations that you would need to join working in care. So you do find that a lot of people that come into the United Kingdom, if you do not have appropriate working requirements, you can work in a care home. We've seen that particularly from the Nigerian community, but also other foreigners too. And Unsung have found that perhaps in the past 3 months, just because of the laxness of government regulations, that so many individuals have found themselves a victim of modern slavery. Now, of course, what this means can vary from country to country, but when it comes to the United Kingdom, we're talking about domestic servitude, we're talking about forced labor, we're talking about sex trafficking. And another reason why Unsung were talking about this morning is because of the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman's new illegal migration bill, which basically means if you come into this country via a small boat across the English Channel or over the bridge by lorry, then you will not be able to return to this country for more than 10 years. And a lot of ministers, including Theresa May, the former Prime Minister, they think this is too harsh. And if they do this, and then it stops victims of modern slavery from coming forward because they will not have the protection from the British government. So, yeah, a really disturbing story. And I believe, according to the Metropolitan Police's figures, about 122,000 people in the United Kingdom could be victims of modern slavery.
Wow, sounds sad, really sounds sad. But moving on now, the UK government has underwritten financing for £680 million for new high-speed electric railway. Now, that doesn't catch an attention, but when they do it in Turkey, then it raises some questions.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Although Britain does enjoy a pretty lucrative trading relationship with Turkey. I believe last year alone, UK exports to Turkey were valued at about £8.5 billion. And the UK does have a credit agency for exports. So if you are a foreign business and you want to tap into some of the British government's money, there are parameters that allow you to do so. And that's exactly what's happened. The UK export agency is part of a consortium which also includes BNP, ING and JP Morgan. The British arm has facilitated credit of, I believe, about 700 million euros. This is going to help oversee the completion of a new electric railway in southern Turkey, which I believe is going to lead to one of their second largest ports. And, you know, one of the reasons why the British government is doing this and putting all this money into Turkey rather than putting it at home, where, of course, we do need the money, is because the agreement includes that they will be using some British contractors to complete the building. So it's a win-win relationship for the British government. So I believe if you are in the infrastructure, solar panel, or manufacturing sector, you could be receiving a letter very soon asking you to contribute to this building of this railway track.
I wish I was, Juliana, but I mean, that's...
I know.
Well, that's really smart. I mean, we hear you're financing in Turkey, but the money comes back home through your people. Really smart there. Thank you so much for those details, Juliana. Talk to you at 1:30.
Talk to you.
All right, and the person who will be speaking with Juliana at 1:30 is Laddie Williams. For now, he has the responsibility of telling us what's going on with the... Did you hear that last part? I think that's really interesting. So you see the story that the UK government is spending £680 million at a time when the country is facing cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
And they're spending it in Turkey and railway, and you're like, why?
Like, how do you justify that?
Exactly, and then you look under the small print, or the fine print is what they call it, and you see that it's actually British workers that will be earning that money. And
so, yeah, it's like in the background, somehow you're spending money there, but making money there.
But bringing money back
home. And I remember we did agree you're going to wear green today, but you didn't. So I guess that's why the market is still quiet. Yeah, let's look at the market.
Put it on me.
Yeah, let's put it on Ini. It's Ini's fault this time. Let's look at the sentiment. There's neutral, 50 points there. That's what we're seeing for the sentiment, showing that traders are trying to find direction in this market at this point. Let's look at the top cryptocurrencies we track. We see Bitcoin, down 2.18%, 29,000, losing that 30K psychological level. Ethereum, 1,852, losing the 19 level. BNB, that's a native coin for the Binance exchange, that's down 1.40%. We see the biggest drop this morning on the top 100 cryptocurrencies, 5.32% drop for XRP after having a good run. Really, they jumped from less than 50 cents to about 90 cents on that news that the SEC is losing the case against XRP. So we see that jump there. But is the fire over? That's the question right now. Let's look at the top gainers. XDC there's topping the counter, double-digit gain, 17.30%, big jump there, 5 cents up. Doge, meme coin there, 8.93%, could be related to Elon Musk. Yeah, we know Elon loves Doge, and that's what we're seeing Doge pumping as well. Let's bring in Solomon Amunde now, financial market analyst. Hello, Solomon. Good morning.
Good morning, Laddie.
So we're seeing Bitcoin that's lost the 30K levels, now trading around 29,000. Can we say the bottom is close, or can we still see more downside for Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's still 100% possible that I would see more downside for Bitcoin, because I'm looking at the charts. Yesterday we closed in a very, very poor position, and today we are still likely to go down to about $28,400. But we are still being very optimistic, hoping that Bitcoin will be able to reclaim $29,500 soon. But let's not forget that for the past 4 weeks, Bitcoin has been trading within the range of $29,500 and about $31,000. So it's quite interesting to see Bitcoin drop. And also, we are looking at the Bitcoin dominance. If we can get to the zone of about 44%, then altcoins will have their moments to rally. So that's what we're basically waiting for right now.
Right, I guess a wait and see moment right now. But let's look at the Telegram bots there. Those are doing quite interesting numbers at this point. And looking at the trend, how far gone is this trend with Telegram bots?
Okay, I strongly believe the first leg of the trend is almost over. And for those that are able to catch up with the trend now, they are actually not late, because we're just seeing the first move of this Telegram boat, which was actually being pioneered by Unibolt. So we've seen Unibolt do over 40x within about 60 days, and they've hit a max of about $150 million. So for the other Telegram boats, they are still below $10 million market cap, which is actually a very good thing. So for investors looking at investing in Telegram boats long term, this is a very, very good point for them to get in.
And definitely not financial advice, definitely. But how efficient are these Telegram bots?
I didn't get that.
How efficient are the Telegram bots?
Okay, the Telegram bots are highly effective. Talking about on-chain transactions, they can help you to very easily buy and sell assets directly from your Telegram chat application, which makes it very easy and also reduces the rate at which we would need to onboard new users. So you can easily onboard someone, start trading cryptocurrencies in less than 5 minutes, because they can do it just within their Telegram application. So I would say it's very, very effective, and it simplifies everything when it comes to on-chain trading.
All right, I guess we'll keep tracking how they perform and if that trend is going to continue. Thank you so much, Solomon Amunde, financial market analyst.
Thank you.
All right, so yeah, you didn't wear green today, so the market's still down. Hopefully, you wear green tomorrow. Yeah.
I wish I could influence the market that much.
Yeah,
just as I wish MPC could influence the market.
Yeah, in his dress, the indicator for the market.
All right, ladies, see you at 1:30. Well, that's it on the program. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Do watch Business Morning every time and every day on YouTube, our YouTube channel. And I'll be back tomorrow. But Ladi will be here at 1:30 to give you update from the world of business. I'm Amy John McCracken.